Hi, today I'm going to talk about defensive actions. This is my own terminology that I came up with back in the mid-90s when I first started teaching on my own. I came up with a system as a way to easily categorize different types of defensive actions, blocking, parrying actions, without using the traditional terminology, because I found that when I went from style to style, a lot of times you'd have similar actions but with different terms describing them as you went to different languages and different styles. I also found that, James, sometimes you'd have the same technique, but one instructor might do it with force, while if he punches in, another one might do it more relaxed with redirecting energy. So you might have the same name, but I'm doing a different action, a hard energy or a relaxed one. And I wanted to really specify so my students and myself when I'm studying knows what's happening with the technique. You can still use the traditional names if you like them, but for me, this would be a redirecting energy, while this would be meeting the force. So the 5 ways for defensive actions, and this should apply for whether you're using weapons, empty hand, doesn't really matter, because it's describing the action that's happening, not the actual technique you're doing. So it's not a hand position like a wing arm or something like that, but it's the actual action that's happening. So the first action, and the order doesn't matter, the order doesn't matter. It's just the evasion. So every style has this to some degree. It might just be me stepping out of the way, moving back. It might be me slipping a punch. It might be me just leaning back or ducking underneath, anything like that. If he's throwing a kick at my leg, I might be moving out of the way. So that's the evasion, and basically getting out of the way without necessarily blocking the action. The second one that I'm going to talk about is redirection. That's what I already mentioned. In redirection, basically I'm taking and I'm moving the force offline slightly, but I'm not moving it drastically. I'm not really trying to stop the force. This you'll see in a lot of styles, softer styles, Tai Chi, Aikido, even stuff like Wing Chun. Basically, I want him to not know that his action is being stopped. If I do a hard block, he immediately knows he's going to do something to try and deal with it. But if I do something soft when he comes in, he'll continue his action. And that's what I want. Because when he continues his action, I can hit him before he knows that he's already not hitting me. Or I can use his momentum against him to apply a lock or a throw or something else. So that's a redirection. Again, it can happen with anything. If he's kicking straight at my leg, I can redirect and pull him off balance. Again, not really hitting with force, just kind of moving. Same thing could be done with weapons. If a sword is coming in, I can redirect and again move it just slightly offline, enough so it misses. Now a lot of times these 5 actions can be combined together. If I'm redirecting, I want to move at minimum amount, so I want to actually step offline and use some evasion also. That way I don't have to move as much. So if I stay stationary, I have to really push it. I want to just move slightly with the redirection and use evasion to combine together on. A lot of times these different actions can have more than one combined. It's not all one or the other. The third one we're talking about is deflection. Basically, deflection is me just bumping it offline. Rather than the soft redirection, it's similar, but has a little bit more force. Where I'm just slapping it, or if he's kicking, I might just be bumping it a little bit to move offline. So that'd be a deflection. Now, some of these work better with certain actions. The deflection works better against a straight line. With a circular action, it's a little bit harder to deflect it off the line that's coming in. Evasion can work with anything, obviously, on that. And the evasion also can be good because if my hands are all positioned, I can still do evasion. The fourth one we're talking about is meeting the force. This is what a lot of the harder styles do. It could be block coming in here, any number of things. I don't really use those blocks. So when I do meeting force, what I usually am trying to do is meet with something that's stronger than the thing that's coming in. If I meet forearm against forearm, that works fine in the traditional styles where they actually would do iron body techniques and they toughen the arm. Because then my forearm's a lot tougher than his, so I can actually hit and I won't bruise and he will. But if you're not doing that iron body toughening action on your shins, your forearms, then really there's not much advantage to this. You're both going to end up bruised up from that contact. So instead of as he punches in, I might do something where I hit with elbow against knuckles, then I'm hitting a harder surface or a bigger bone against a smaller one. Again, using something stronger. If he's throwing like a hook punch, I might be using this bone against the bicep, again a harder action. So most of the time when I'm doing a meeting action, I'm personally, I'm trying to meet it with something that's harder than what they already have. If you're already doing the iron body or something, then yeah, you could meet forearm against forearm, shin against shin, that type of action. But it just depends on how you train, what style you're doing. The fifth one, it's kind of two in a way, but they're very similar. It's stop hitting action or jamming action. Both take place early on in the technique. So for instance, they work best if he's doing big action or he's pulling back or something. Then I come in, I can stop his action on that. So that's a jamming action. I'm jamming up before it really takes full effect. Now if I'm late on that, it might end up being switched to a meeting action because I didn't get there quick enough to really prevent it from coming out. So I need to stop it after it's already coming out. Now I can also do a stop hit. That's what you'd see Bruce Lee did a lot because he was super fast, good timing. So as he pulls back, I just hit him. That action will also stop, just like the jam will stop his action early on in what he's doing before he really fully materializes. So that's why I kind of combine those together, the stop hit or the jamming action. Of course, the same thing, he lifts up his leg, I can just stop it right away with a jamming action, preventing the action, whether you're going to his leg or his hip. And same thing can happen with weapons. You know, all this stuff. Look at, one way you can use this is look at the techniques you're already doing. Maybe you already do a redirection on something. Then go and see if there's different ways you can do it. See if it would work with a deflection or a meeting action or different things. This can be a way to increase your number of techniques and try and expand further. Another thing I do a lot of times is with students, I'll say, okay, do a redirection with this. And I'll let them pick because, yeah, you can redirect here, but I could also redirect with this hand. So it doesn't have to be this hand, it can be this hand. I can redirect it here. So there's a lot of different ways you can do the action. It's not dependent upon a specific type of hand position or body position. And basically just some part of your body that's moving it offline would be redirection. If you want to get specific with it, then you could say, you're redirecting with a certain block, whether it's a Tan style or whatever style you're using, you can then add that in and be a little bit more clear that way with what you're actually expecting the student or what you're looking for yourself. And again, like I was saying before, different ones can have its strengths and weaknesses. The stop hit or jam works best against someone who's really making big motions. If they're doing very small motions, it can be hard to get there quickly enough to do that unless you're super fast. The evasion, a lot of times, as I was saying earlier, you can be out of position. My hands can be trapped, for instance, and I can still evade a strike as he strikes in by moving offline. That one, I evaded it, but I also bumped it a little bit to redirect it. So again, a lot of times they'll combine together these different techniques. The deflection, like I was saying earlier, doesn't work so good against a circular action, so it works good against a straight line. Like a parry with a sword, a lot of times will be a deflection. You'll just be knocking offline and immediately going back. You don't want to do a big action, because if I do it too hard, then I put myself out of position and you can come in with something else. Most of the time when I'm blocking or doing any sort of defensive action, I'm usually going kind of towards the center line more. I'm not doing a big crossing action, because if I cross, I leave myself open, and that's not good. So instead, as he comes forward, I'm going to kind of meet it here, whether it doesn't matter which one of those 5 actions it is, but I'm just kind of trying to always think about keeping myself in a good defensive and offensive position. So I can always attack when I'm defending, or if I'm attacking and he blocks me and does something, you know, I'm always ready if he throws a strike that I can defend or attack at the same time. It's kind of like the yin and yang. It's not always 100%. In fact, it's almost never 100% attack or defense. There's always a little bit of the defense in your offense and a little bit of the opposite. When you're defending, I'm always thinking about attacking and changing it. So anyways, that was just a rough of the 5. You can get more information on my website, but it's basically evasion, deflection, redirection, meeting, and stop hitting or jamming. Thanks.